So after an alarming amount of requests from you guys, I'm finally going to be talking about Fire Emblem Fates for the Nintendo 3DS. And I gotta say, this game had the potential to be the greatest Fire Emblem game in the entire series. Being the Fire Emblem fan that I am, I was immediately excited when this game was first announced, especially after the awesomeness that was Fire Emblem Awakening. And once the game was released, I'll admit, I was kinda taken aback by the fact that this game was being split into 3 different versions, one of them only available as a download, mind you. But I was exercising cautious optimism at the time, so I bought it. I actually made a deal with Comic Foil at the time that he would start off with Birthright, I would buy Conquest, and we would play through the game, and then after we've completed it, we would switch and we would play the other version. Unfortunately, that deal never came through for reasons I'll get into later. For now, what's Fire Emblem Fates all about? You play as Corrin, who is the supposed prince or princess of the European-inspired kingdom of Nor, who is currently at war with the Japanese-inspired kingdom of Hoshido. Corrin is sent on a recon mission by King Garen to aid in the war, but after a betrayal that everyone saw coming, Corrin ends up being separated from the Norian royal family. What happens after that? Well, a lot. Corrin is sent into a parallel realm that apparently works as a safe haven, and after waking up in Hoshido, it turns out that Corrin is, in fact, originally from the Hoshidan royal family. And not only that, Corrin can apparently turn into a dragon. Can we slow down a bit here, please? So after that exposition dump that I didn't even cover half of, the Norian royal siblings come to retrieve Corrin, and now our hero must choose whether to side with Blood or Bon. Oh yeah, and then there's this girl, she's important apparently. Gameplay-wise, Fire Emblem Fates stands as one of the best in the series, with many mechanics taken from Awakening and polished to a mere sheen. The core gameplay is still good old-fashioned Fire Emblem tactical goodness, but the partner system that was introduced in Awakening has been refined and is no longer randomized, now determined on whether you have your partners adjacent to you or paired up with you. New classes have been introduced in each version, and a lot of them are very much welcome, some of my favorites being the Malignite and the Ninja. And I also gotta give this game credit for offering a different experience with each version, with Conquest being more of a classic Fire Emblem with a set progression and limited resources, and Hoshido being more of a open world type experience, much like Awakening. I should also give mention to the castle feature. It took a little bit to get used to, but it does provide a nice respite between missions, it takes full advantage of the Street Pass feature, and gives the cast of this game that little bit of extra charm. And speaking of the cast, yeah, I gotta admit that this game's roster is kinda split down the middle for me. I'm sorry guys, but I didn't really care for Birthright's cast. Aside from a couple of really awesome characters like Kaze and Rinka, much of Birthright's cast just did not impress me, especially when compared to Conquest's cast. Now, I'm not saying that everyone in Conquest was the epitome of a fantastic character, but most, if not all of the characters in Conquest were consistently interesting, entertaining, and really deep, if I may say. It's a good thing too, because you're going to be relying heavily on the secondary cast and the support conversations if you want any semblance of good writing. Because I'm not even gonna sugarcoat this. Fire Emblem Fates' story is complete and utter garbage. It's a damn shame too, because for how amazingly they did the gameplay and the aesthetic of this game, what they did wrong, they did horribly wrong. And these issues become apparent right from the beginning of the game when so much information is being thrown at you and you only have 6 chapters to process it all before you have to make this big grand decision of which side to choose. And let's face it, you chose which side right when you bought the game. And speaking of which, why the different versions? Why is it that I have to buy 3 separate games to experience the full scope of this story? The Radiant series had a bigger story than this, and they managed to fit it all in one full game and a sequel. And this isn't even mentioning Corrin, who is one of the worst protagonists in Fire Emblem history. A complete hypocrite who isolated their child in the Outrealms, and they should not be leading this army. Leave that to the crown princes who actually know how to run an army. Seriously, Awakening had Robin, who was the tactician, with Chrom, the prince, as the leader. At least there it made sense. And then there's the Outrealms excuse for implementing the children into this game. Good lord. I mean, Awakening's excuse wasn't much better, but seriously guys, take a page out of Genealogy of the Holy War. I could go on and on about how horrible the narrative is of this game, because believe me, there's a lot to discuss. But I've run out of time, and if you're wondering about Revelations, yeah, not much better. I mean, as a game, Fire Emblem Fates is a masterpiece, With the different mechanics that they've introduced and the refined gameplay, you're definitely gonna have a lot of fun, and it's rather challenging if I may say. But if you're going into this game looking for a good story, yeah, that's not gonna happen.